and welcome back to another episode of the Choose954 Podcast, episode 126, with our upcoming Creative Zen Talk speaker, Shelly Saunier, here from our Zero Empty Spaces location inside the Design Center of the Americas, the Dakota building, where we host the talk, and we're specifically in Miss Bello's studio, Andrea Bello, the House of Creation, with the beautiful backdrop here.
Immediately said yes.
Yes, you deserve it all. For those of you that don't know about Choose954, myself, Evan Snow, my business partner, Mr. Andrew Martineau, started a social movement to cultivate culture and community here in our native Broward County, you're going to come to find out, in an effort to keep people to know with all the great things that are going on, to make this a better place to live and not just a better place to vacation, because we live here. And the point of the podcast is to connect you with the interesting people like her that do amazing things in the community. And this is a very special treat where we're going to get to go a little bit woo-woo, which I love. So without much further ado, for anyone meeting you for the first time, who is Shelly Saunier today, and how do you describe the work that you feel called to do in the world?
Who is Shelly Saunier today? Very much an eclectic mix and somewhat of an antique store of everything I've ever collected throughout my life journey. And I think that what I've come to realize is that who I am today is also in the very same breath of every single moment evolving. So giving myself permission to evolve within that, who am I today, and just be. And my work, I help people sync up with their internal truth and essentially source energy collectively, spirit, God, universe, whatever it is that you want to define it as. And before they became who they are based upon collective norms, societal norms, or conditionings of sorts that have developed their identity, which is what I like to call the I, that we move through life with, that we've just essentially, again, built over the course of our life experiences. And oftentimes it's based upon defense mechanisms, trying to protect ourselves, right? So I use astrology and human design, as well as my background in holistic nursing, to really help others find themselves, remember themselves in the way in which we tap into an energetic frequency that is collectively human and collectively in the state of being. And astrology, human design, all the different tools that I use is essentially a map that helps me better facilitate and also channel different messages for people that help them hear the voice of their inner being that might be underneath the conditionings, underneath the collective desires and norms that society projects upon us, family, cultural, religion even. And astrology has such a powerful, astrology and human design have such a powerful language that really cuts through the illusion of the I. And with that, helping people tap into that, because it's essentially like, I'm looking at this plug that's like dangling over there. It's like you essentially are this refrigerator and you have so much potential, right? And you just need a fucking plug. You just need to hit source energy. And it's accessible, it's within us, right? And it's like really just grabbing that and like plugging back into that feeling where it's like, like this is what it feels like to be me and to be alive and to be connected to what I'm meant to be, who I'm meant to be, how I'm meant to move into the world and move with the world and engage with the world, So
all the tools, all the things, also sprinkle in a little bit of yoga.
Yes, I teach yoga. My evolution to where I am today, as I mentioned earlier, is when you asked that question, is like, I had a series of clues along my path. And instead of asking, what am I going to do with this? I led with it. Because the way I was living my life, I was, I'm an only child. My mom's Cuban. My dad never went to college. My mom never went to college. I was the first to go to college. I grew up in a low-income family housing. I lived right off the train tracks. When I went to sleep, the train would rattle my windows, right? And, recognizing that those pieces and those parts and living with what everybody felt was normal or whatever the case may be within, the development of human behavior, right? I was like, this is not what I want. This is not what I want. And if I don't want this, I need to stop listening to the people who are living the lives that I don't want. And just started moving with these clues and these hunches that present themselves to us all. But we feel this first like, oh, that's really exciting. And then, you know, the mental gymnastics steps in and it's like the doubt and like, how is it going to work and how are you going to figure it out? And I just chose one day, I can't tell you specifically what day that was, but I chose one day and I was like, I'm done. I'm just going to go with my body. My body says yes. My body says lean in. My body says take the trip. Don't worry about it. And when I started to live my life with that, and again, it's not impulsive, it's a deeper knowing, right? That astrology gave me the resources to tap into, because of course somebody could be like, hey, you want to go to Vegas? And like your mind's like, fuck yeah, I want to go to Vegas, right? But like deep down, like, is that the right choice for where you ultimately want to go, right? So yoga, tarot, meditation, astrology, human design, holistic nursing, like I feel like I've lived so many lives already. So parenting, divorce, like remarried, like I said, like I am such a collection of trinkets and like things that, yeah, like.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned, and I know those are not all of them, but the top line ones that, you know, so many people in life, as we know, are drifting. You know, they're Sally Smith, they're Johnny 9 to 5. They, you know, they go sit at their desk, they do their job, maybe. And I was one of these people that, when I was a recruiter, you know, go to the sports bar, watch the Heat game or the Hurricanes game, go home, rinse and repeat, and they never learn balance. They never learn grounding. They never learn that there's tools and resources that allow people to establish maybe a little bit more of a baseline and a practice that is proven and documented, as we'll get into, and people know from my experience as a yogi, will allow you to feel your best so you could be your best, so you could do your best. And that is something I guess maybe not everybody strives for, but obviously these tools are impactful for us, and especially on the spiritual journey. Yours began long before it became your profession, growing up with the Cuban grandmother who practiced astrology, candle work, and other spiritual traditions. What did she expose you to, and what did you realize with those early experiences that were planting seeds for your future?
Oh, my grands.
Was it Santeria?
It was a little bit Santeria, yeah. A little bit of that. But also, I didn't realize how unique my childhood was with her, because it was such a norm. Like, talking to the moon, the astrology, and, you know, as a child, I think that you take in your environment and it influences you, but you don't necessarily realize that it's not quite normal. Like, not everybody's grandma does this kind of stuff, right? And she really, you know, showed me spiritual practices and spiritual tools, as you mentioned, that help you upgrade your self-awareness. That I believe, you know, when we look at society, everything is intended to pull you away from self-awareness and be on autopilot. And again, like I said, I didn't realize how unique it was, because it instilled so much more of, you know, just beyond the relationship that I had with myself, with nature, with herbs, with candle magic, with meditation, with, like, you know, ritual even, right? Like, everything, we don't think it's a ritual, but it is. Like, you going to Starbucks is a ritual, but does that ritual instill a level of self-awareness, or is it pulling you further away into an autopilot motion and movement, right? So with her, because it was seasonal, because it was like, oh, the moon is full, like, we're doing this, it became so much more of like a connection to nature and my own innate nature. And, you know, what's super fascinating is that she taught me more than spirituality. She taught me that there's meaning in everything.
Aww.
And, like, with that, allowing that meaning to not only be meaningful for you, but be leading a life that is meaningful for you, right? Because, again, I'm just gonna like insert this. When my kids are in school, we're in summer right now, but when they're in school, it's like, get up, get ready, and like, that's how we start our morning sometimes as parents.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's like imprinted on our children's nervous systems.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not intended to be that way, right? So just really so beyond grateful for my grandmother and for the beauty of connecting to herbs and to candle magic and ritual and astrology at a young age where it maybe didn't all quite make sense, but it was felt.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had that feeling at a young age, I ended up going back to that feeling, right? In moments where I was like collapsing, where my life was like breaking down and like where do I go? Talk therapy? Okay, yeah, it's good, but it doesn't give me that feeling. And then I was in my practice, in my meditation, in my yoga, and I was like, go back to the stuff that like you've learned. And you don't realize that you're like, every single one of us has pieces and parts of our lives, because I don't think anybody has a life like you're intended to be and live and go through in certain experiences and lessons, because your power lives in there, because the potency of what you are intended to create, that foundation built you beyond, is intended in a thread. And some people who experience trauma or abuse or things of that nature, is that acceptable? Absolutely not. But is it able to be catalyzed? Is it able to be alchemized into something that really showed you something about yourself, right? And how are you using that as fuel? How are you using that as leverage to not only better yourself, right? And not fall into an entrapment of like victim mentality or boo-boo mentality, but how can I see this? How can I experience this? And instead of asking like, why am I going through this, is what is this showing me? Spirit, God, universe, help me, show me what part of this is going right. Show me what part, or this part of my life that really is hard to like come to peace with. What part of that went right for me? What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to grow from? And when you see life in that fashion, you're less of a victim, right? And you're less of like a subject of like your reality, and you're more of a co-creator of your reality, right? And when you recognize that, because it truly is true, and a lot of it is subconscious work, like philosophy, like psychology, like all of the like mindset work, subconscious work, unconscious work, conscious work,
inner child work.
Yeah, inner child work. That it, like it's all such a part of your experience and how you engage with your life experiences, right? So, understanding that when we have experiences in our childhood, like I'm sure I had trauma too, but like I vividly remember when you're asking about like my grandmother and like where this all started, is like a lot of the times if we go back, how we look back from where we are, it built us in some way, shape, or form.
Shout out to Abuela.
Do you want to know what's also really crazy? I ended up having this meditation and I connect with her sometimes. And one time I was like, you know what, I'm going to see like what her name means, because I was on this kick of like really understanding like what my name means. And if you guys have never done that, highly recommend. Just go through like Shelly Saunier. Like my last name is translated into salt dealer. And interestingly enough, salt creates life.
French.
Yes.
Your father's French.
Yes, my father's French. But I had this thought. I was like, Google what her name means. And it translates into of the sky, Araceli. Isn't that mind-blowing?
And very, very appropriate.
The clues are always there, but you gotta look, and you have to look with a different pair of glasses. Like, you can see it as like, oh, my grandmother's name was Araceli, and it's like, you're numb to it. It's a norm. Or you could be like, ooh, that's really interesting. She was a really integral part of my life. Like, I'm interested to know, like, what her name meant. Like, I was really interested into, like, how she grew up for a very long time.
In Cuba.
Yeah, she grew up in Cuba.
And also, I don't know what year, but in that period, very humble means that they were able to do phenomenal things. Actually, when I was a tech recruiter, some of the best engineers were from Cuba.
Very innovative.
Very innovative.
She was the oldest of 12 siblings. She was like the mother hen, and she cared for all the children. And yeah, it's a really interesting story. So like when we know integral people's stories, they speak to us even more so, right? And it's like podcasts, social media, I believe is like a digital bonfire to really help us engage and interact with these pieces and parts that people are sharing that really open us up to these different questions or experiences in ourselves, because that's the community. Like that astrologically, that is where we're shifting, is like being very community centered, community focused, and being like, what is my part in this community, right? And like really activating that and waking that part of us up. But to know what part you play in a community, sometimes you have to go backwards and look at how it builds.
And this is why we're connected.
Yeah.
And also a
little brief history lesson.
So actually, before we get to brief history lesson, when the train would rattle, where were you living?
So I lived off of Dixie Highway in Fort Lauderdale, and it was in between Cypress, and I forget the name of the road that's right by Pinecrest. And they bulldozed
Prospect, or
maybe.
That was your early, and then you moved to.
Then I moved to Coral Springs in 3rd grade.
Where we went to high school together.
Yes.
Shout out Coral Springs High.
Oh, felt for sure. There were some really amazing people in our class. Like, looking back at everything, I'm like, we had some really cool, powerful individuals in
Why
our
don't
class.
you rattle off some of your favorites?
I mean, Walter Dix is a really
that was exactly what I was going to say. Bronze medalist only, and I mean, because he raced, and mind you, little history fact, they built the track at Coral Springs High, $1 million track, for him because
I didn't know that.
They knew he was destined for greatness. He set all the records in high school.
Wow.
He was a multinational champion at Florida State University, and then 2004 Olympics, he doesn't win the gold because this little guy named Usain Bolt, he got bronze, so maybe the guy that got silver was still good too. So yeah, Walter Dix. I know you have some friends I'm
still close with all of my friends from high school. So blessed to say that again, they've evolved with me. We call each other the OG, like our original gangster group, and just like so many interesting individuals, like yourself, people that I've engaged with and interacted with and have like seen like what they're developing and creating. Amanda Perna, she has her own like, fashion
another former
line.
speaker at Creative Zen.
Yeah, so it's just like so cool to look at our group specifically, and I'm sure there's so many more that I can't quite.
Well, yeah, I mean, just Amanda Perna, Project Runway. And now she just won like a freaking Verizon Small Business of the Year award. Cool. Fashion designer, Space and Del Rey. And then you're, Amy Gordon, Laura Holloway, all your homegirls.
Oh yes, all my homegirls: Desiree, Ashley Clinton, Cheem.
Shout out Cheem! Shout out Cheem!
She married me and my husband. She was like the officiant. She got officiated to officiate my wedding.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, it's so, I don't know. I love life. It's so interesting and mutable and pliable and flexible.
If you're open to it and you're aware, and I guess how this reconnection somewhat unfolded was because rave
therapy. We found each other every time we were actively in rave therapy.
In Broward.
Yeah.
When some of the best DJs in the world,
yes.
The two that was Nora and Pure.
Yeah.
And then Kygo.
Mm-hmm.
That was insane to see Kygo. That was just insane. And then the last time I saw you was at The Plunge, where I go every Sunday for my self-care Sunday after my workout.
They're closing down? Did you
They're
get
moving.
Text?
Oh, I thought they were getting another location in Deerfield.
They closed down because of permitting or something.
Damn.
I know. We were both, like my oldest son and I go, and we were a little upset. Yeah, they sent the text. I mean, I could be very wrong and I could be giving false information. Please double check.
Yeah.
I got a text and they said that they're closing down July 31st. So yesterday they closed down.
Wait. Well, good thing you told me that because I was going to drive over there tomorrow.
Oh, call and look into it.
All right. Well, we hope the Plunge is still open. If not, we'll go to the space or whatever. But yeah, we kept seeing each other. I know you're connected with my teacher, guru, coach, friend, Chloe Ravel, the Gemini Rising, another former speaker. So, and been following you for years. And also, last really interesting note to mention, my first ever yoga class.
Oh, yes.
It was a semi-private on the beach in Deerfield. Pompano?
He was Pompano.
Yeah. When you were going through your certification.
Yes.
And it didn't resonate with me at the time. Fortunately, it found me later. And then the last one we'll just mention to go down memory lane that Shelly will never forget, but I'll never forget, the day Shelly birthed her second child.
Oh, yes.
She taught a yoga class in the heat on a rooftop in Fort Lauderdale for pretty much me and one of my boys, Vasilios, and like one other person. And I'm like, sure you want me to do this yoga class?
I'm like, yeah, that's right. Do you want to know what's even crazier? Is that day I taught the class in the heat on the rooftop, and then I had to teach full moon yin yoga in West Palm Beach, and I was actively in contractions as I'm teaching, but I'm like, we're finishing this, and of course I would have a child born on the full moon, right? Like I would.
After teaching 2 yoga classes,
I was like, some of the people were like, are you okay? I was like, I need to go to the hospital, I think.
and
Thank
you're
God.
a nurse. Like,
Yes, and thank a NICU nurse at the time. I'm like, thank God my husband went to that class, because I was like, babe, like, I think we need to go. And he's like, well, how far apart are the contractions? I was like, I don't know, let's get in the car and let me start breathing. And I was like, I need to go back to the house and like wash my essential areas. Like, okay, like I need to wash my essential areas before we go to the hospital. And my water broke in his truck, his brand new truck. It was such a good story. But yeah. And my youngest still is very much like that. Like he will barge in and he is like, I'm here. Like
no pun intended.
No pun intended. But yeah, he came with a vengeance. He was like, we're done here. But yeah, I forgot that you came to that class in the afternoon. I also flipped upside down and I did a forearm stand, and I took a picture on that same day after that rooftop class.
Do not try this at home. This is not.
Listen.
This is not.
It was a good delivery. I didn't have to get any meds. Nothing.
Holistic nurse. Shout out to the nurses and not nursing anymore, but still have all the knowledge and all the things. And so with that being said, you earned your master's in holistic nursing and pursued training in yoga, meditation, theta healing, some of my favorites, EFT tapping, tarot, and other modalities. How has that education shaped your approach, and what ultimately gave you the courage to retire from nursing and fully trust your calling?
So I'm at a wall before I went to get my master's degree. I went through nursing school. I was on a med tele unit, and I realized that this was not what I wanted. This was not what I signed up for, and it was definitely what you're fed. Like, you're gonna help people, and I truly, and like, if you're a nurse, I apologize if this offends you, but my personal opinion is that they exploit the people who really do want to care for people.
Nurse bladder?
Yeah. So I really, truly believe that, like, nurses have such great energetics and great desire to help, and they're exploited. Like, we're not paid enough. We're not, anyways. But I was in that space, and I was working in that space, and immediately after 6 months of working on the med tele unit, I was like, immediately, this is not it. This is not it. This is not what I want. And of course, the next best thing is what you think about is like your master's degree. Like, how do I get out of this? I got to go to the next education. I got to go to the next level of education. And during that time, I did yoga. Did you ever do stress reduction in high school?
I don't think so.
So that's where my yoga introduction started. It was stress reduction in 2004. And I was like, easy A, senior year, sign me up. So I signed up for the class. And as I, went through college, I dabbled into it, but fell into it even more so because my career was super stressful. My relationship at the time was super stressful, and I needed an outlet. And I fell into doing yoga predominantly. So I'm doing yoga. I'm starting to develop a relationship with my body. I'm starting to listen to my body, the undercurrents, the undertones, the information, the conversations, the narratives, all of that that's happening within me. And opened up to meditation, started meditating, and again, in that interim period at the very same time where it's like, what's the next best thing, right? What's the next best thing? And I went and I got my master's, and I was like, I don't want to be a nurse practitioner. I don't want to be this. And I researched holistic, because at that very time I was learning about spirituality. I was diving into it a little bit more deeply. And I found out that FAU has a master's in holistic nursing program. And it was like, you could chop it up, you could take a couple courses and whatever the case may be, which worked with what I was doing because I was still working as a full-time nurse. I was like, I'll do that. So as I was doing both of these together, it really opened up my horizons and tapped me into what would really bring me joy. So then I went to yoga teacher training while I'm a mom, while I'm in like a wild relationship, while I'm still doing nursing, while I'm, taking classes for a master's in holistic nursing. I was in like a Category 5 hurricane. My father ended up passing away at this like similar time.
Sorry for that.
It's okay. We're all headed there. We just don't know when.
That's
right? We just gotta live we just gotta live it. So these tools and these practices came to me in ways that were clues, as I mentioned before, that stacked on top of each other unknowingly, right? And where I am today in my business and how I choose to live my life was a series of small yeses that we, as people, are like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? And you want it to be like, this is your purpose, right? You want God to just like, but do you really think God is going to trust you with this big purpose if you're saying no to the little things along the way? It's not going to happen. So the clues where I said yes to these tools, and then I started digging deeper and like learning about all these different things, it built a business on its own. It literally, like, I am so grateful that Spirit, God, Universe chose me as the vessel to translate all of this in the way that I do, because it's so unique. It's such a niche. I really don't know anybody who does anything of the sort of like what I do with my clients, how I use astrology, human design, these tools with my clients to, again, plug them into the remembrance and the inner knowing of your true self, not your I that you've identified with, but the true essence of self that is connected to every being and every living thing, and remove the additional layers, right? So to answer your question, all of these different things invited me to take off the layers and the identities of the I's that I put in place for myself. And as I said yes, another layer fell away, another layer fell away, another layer fell away, another layer fell away. And where I am today is a culmination of all of that built something on its own, which gave me, of course, with the support of my husband, because like, thank God, like, I have a very strong man who doesn't fully quite understand what the fuck I do, but he's like, yeah, babe, go do your podcast. I'll drop you off. Call me later. Or like, yeah, like, he buys me podcast equipment. Like, he supports everything that I do, and I'm so beyond grateful for that, because my previous relationship was the complete opposite. It's like, get your head out of the clouds, right? I'm like, no, my soul is telling me I need to do this, you know what I mean? So it's such a different dynamic, and relationships and partnerships are just like such big anchors and parts of the development. But I showed him, I was like, babe, like, I made X amount of dollars last year, and like, that's technically what I would be making nursing. And yeah, it was great. And I was like, do you think I can, like, just retire? He's like, yeah, retire. He's like, if anything, like, like, I'll help you if you need some help here and there, right? But I was able to retire, and he supported that. And as a woman coming from a single mom who always worked and who was always in survival mode, I innately adopted that for a very long time. I was working very young. From immigrant parents. And like what we pick up from our parents is important, because there's still, and I'm not gonna say that it's completely gone, there's still a survival component, right, within me, where it's like, wait, you're not managing a yoga studio, like why, like you should be doing something, or like, oh, you're not doing nursing, like you should be doing something, right? And I've realized that survival mode, which is again softened over time, is actually what robs us from abundance, because abundance isn't money, right? Abundance is the ability to be present with somebody in conversation, to see the beauty and like the abundance in nature, and like when you actually can energetically connect to that abundance, the money comes as a byproduct almost. And I had to experience that firsthand, because you hear it, you read it, I've read it a million times in spiritual books, right? A million fucking times. I'm like, well, it's not happening, right? Like, I don't feel that connection. But it wasn't until these tools that took off these layers of the I and the layers of survival that I adopted, that gave me permission to actually be like, I could be a grass goddess for an hour and just soak up the sun and be there with that abundance and in the grass and just feel that. And as I felt it, like I'd look at my phone and they're like sales calls, and I was like, wait, I was just feeling in this energetic space of expansiveness, of like connectedness to like all there is, and all of a sudden it came in. And then I was like, wait, hold on, remember the first time it happened? I'm gonna do this again. And I'm like, of course, when you're like consciously thinking about it, it doesn't come. And I was like, oh, okay, because I'm forcing myself. I just need to be in that flow.
Right.
And when you're in that flow, then the right connections, the right opportunities, the right engagements, the right things end up happening, because you're channeled and you're synced up, right? You're synced up and you're moving with. You're not resisting against. And I was resisting against not only my internal beliefs, my own narratives, my own thought processes for a very long time, but also my cultures, also my mom's. And I didn't realize that's what I was carrying out until I started to do this work, because astrology and human design show you the parts of your maternal, paternal line, show you your ancestry, show you who you are in relationships, show you who you are in business, show you who you are to your secret self, shows you so many different parts that unless something outside of you invites the internal conversation, and even more powerful when you don't even know the person and they're saying these things and they're speaking a language that you couldn't quite articulate, but when they said it, it speaks to a deeper part of your being where you're like, whoa, like that's what it is, right? And I am not on the astrology end of things that is predictive astrology. I use astrology for self-development, and I use it as an opportunity to see the most evolved possibility and expression and the least evolved expression of your placements. And tarot is also connected to astrology. Mm-hmm. Human design is also connected to astrology. Religion is also connected to astrology. Like, you name it, it all actually comes back to elements of astrology.
It's all in the stars.
It's all in the stars. And fun fact, this is my own personal assumption. This is like how I think. Los Angeles, fallen angels, the stars are on the ground and they're celebrities, and most people look up to celebrities, but we should be actually looking up to the stars above for guidance and influence.
Wow. I mean, so much. I mean,
This is how my mind works, guys.
Let me just try to rattle off some of the thoughts. So, pulling back the layers, now commonly known as unlearning.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you talk about as a parent and the kids are forced to this system where, contrary to some educators' beliefs, I don't think we're really meant to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day as a factory worker, as a desk worker, as a professional worker, that the society, the school system sets us up for. So while Shelly took school very seriously, God bless her, and was fortunately able to discover this stress reduction class that I did not know existed. All good, Mr. Muir. You helped me get my GED anyways. The guidance counselor. People now find it when obviously when the time's right, divine timing, and thankfully you answered the calling, because people might receive these callings, they might get the God wink, they might see the sign, but all of what you explained, to translate into some maybe layman's terms for those that might not be doing the work or familiar, is like, if you're grounded, if you're balanced, or some people might be more familiar with if you're in flow. Mm-hmm. Maybe not everybody's familiar with the chakras, and maybe not everybody's familiar with some of these, just even meditating and having this practice that will help ground you so that you can receive the gifts of said universe. So kudos to you for obviously, and once again, I don't really get to talk about the work so much on these podcasts, but if you didn't just get it from this, and from my experience that I've shared through my book, Learning to Choose and all that, if you do the work, not just if you're a good person, but if you actually do the inner work. Go to the
shadows. Yeah, go to those places that you're scared of. Hold the hand of your shadow and walk with it.
Something I want. The hand.
Yeah, like you just gotta hold the hand of your shadow, right?
Or put the mirror up.
Yeah. Something that, as you were talking, popped up is we've become very domesticated.
In this country. Well, in society
general,
and culture,
I think we've been domesticated as humans.
Yeah.
But I do feel like grounding was happening back in the day.
Of course.
Like big gaps of nothing happening during the day. Big gaps of being around a fire in a community happened. And then, when we don't connect to these practices and we don't get grounded and we work with this ideal or this way, this is where self-loss kind of comes in unconsciously, like bit by bit, because one day you wake up and you're just like, the life I'm living is not mine. It doesn't feel like mine because you don't feel connected to it. But we've been auditing and editing who we are, right?
Well, and then social media.
And then social media to fit in some capacity. And it's not your fault. It's the way that we've been programmed to function.
In the matrix.
In the matrix of it all, right? And I think that, I'm asking how to word this properly, but the goal is not to get out of the matrix. The goal is to be anchored in a truth within the matrix to infiltrate energetically. And a lot of people, and I say this because a lot of people are very into this, break from the matrix, break from this. That's not the goal. It's not the goal. The goal is to be within a system that you can still actively and profoundly tap into source energy, God, spirit, light in such a way that as you continue to engage with the matrix ends up bending in the favor of the light, God, spirit, universe, this higher energetic frequency. Because when we are all in that energetic vibration, which astrologically indicates that is where we're heading, but it's kind of like when you clean out your fucking closet, right? It's like, first it's a mess, and then it starts to slowly get organized, and then you can look back and be like, oh, that looks so good. It feels so good inside too. So we're actually at, if you think about cell division, we're actually at that point astrologically where the cells dividing, but they're still connected, but there's two very different things happening. And this is why people are out of the matrix, in the matrix. That's why the terminology is very, this or that, but it's going to merge fully and completely. And it's up to us in how we choose to mentally engage and connect with the experience, because the more that we hold a higher vibrational anchor and we do the work to elevate our vibrational frequency through music. What are you watching? You're like, it's not just going to a yoga class. Like, what are you actively giving your energy to? What are you watching? Can you set up your Instagram to make it more influential in a positive way? What music are you listening to? What are the lyrics that you're singing? Do you even know what you're singing? When you sing, that is when manifestation actually happens. That's why, when you think about spelling, like casting spells, it's speaking. Because your vibrational frequency in your voice comes through your voice.
Resonance.
And then you're using words, right? Which the English language is fucked. Like if you look at like the history of the English language and like the root meaning of words, like earn, you go to work to earn, but like you're dead and then you're put in an urn, right? Like it's riddles with all of those kinds of like really lower vibrational frequencies with certain words. But when you can, see your environment as, this is the environment I'm in. How can I still be a part of this, but still hold my truth, hold my anchor, hold my frequency? Then you're a frequency anchor. And then when you're a frequency anchor, you begin to engage with what people call the matrix differently.
Mm-hmm.
And when you engage with it differently, that's when it kind of implodes from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Because now what we're doing is we're really aware and conscious human beings, recognizing that we are a part of this society. Like, I'm sorry, like as much as I am not about a lot of things that are happening in societies and in cities, there's no fucking way I'm living on a farm. I ain't taking care of no fucking shit. I am not gonna not go to concerts. I am not gonna not go to fancy restaurants, because I am both. And like when you can embrace both and not totally be like, I'm over here or I'm over here, but can you like, and I'm looking at it, this is 8. When you can really just be within it, right? Then you're not forcing the polarity even more.
And you can do both.
You
and
can.
Two things can be true.
Yes.
You can be grounded. You can live in you can live in the matrix, and yeah, you're good.
Okay.
And you can operate in both. People, one thought that came to mind, especially as you talked about vibration and frequency and societal norms and what people believe and think. You've experienced kirtan before?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're not a yogi, or if you're not
witchcraft, you're like, whoa.
But once you experience, and
it's amazing.
And if you really understand what is, if the teacher or the leader explains it properly, of your, chanting in unison with the group, obviously with the instrument and the other, the kirtan and with the other instruments, there is and I know it's not thousands of years old, but it's hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
That they've been practicing.
I mean, I'm sure other cultures have been practicing that
similarly,
yeah.
Of humming and chanting in group unison. So I guess the takeaway, and not that I'm trying to translate everything you say into layman's terms for those that might not be as tuned in and familiar, but like, I guess the yoga studio that I really enjoy going to in Fort Lauderdale, new one, The Heart, has kirtan. The first one was very well attended, my first time ever, memorable experience. The second time, maybe a few less people. We're all sharing on our social media, like, just come. Like, yeah, I know it looks how it looks, and it's not like really a woo-woo, it's not a cult, like we're sitting, we're chanting,
but we've been,
and we're back, technical difficulties, battery died. Maybe to further extrapolate, as you were about to say, what is kirtan? What is the actual experience?
So, as somebody who went to nursing school and loves the science-based information, as well as balancing out the woo parts of, it's not really woo, but like that's what we call it these days, is physiologically, when you are vibrating your throat, you're massaging your vagus nerve.
Right.
Your vagus nerve is responsible for the way in which the rest of your body is giving it permission to say it's safe, it's relaxed. When you're in a relaxed state, your nervous system is easily impressionable, right? So this is why kirtan is such a powerful practice for those who engage with it over the course of time, and becomes similar to like this meditation practice, but through the words, and also vibrationally. Sanskrit as well as Hebrew are the highest vibrational languages. Again, I love my esoteric philosophy, and like I've read so many books, like up here is wild. They're vibrationally high frequency languages. So English, as I mentioned earlier, actually is kind of like all kind of ties together, is like a very shit language vibrationally, right? That's why certain language, they like feel different, right? So Sanskrit and Hebrew, so when you're chanting these chants in Sanskrit, you're not only energetically activating it through language, but then refining it individually through your voice, then refining your physical body, and in the presence of others, you're coming together.
Correct.
As a community that actually taps you into a deeper understanding physiologically that you are a part of something bigger.
And amplifies it.
And
especially with the good coach, not guide, facilitator of said kirtan, it is a magical, I mean, I still have the chants in my head. So thank you very much for explaining and correlating that.
You're welcome.
So maybe now you've heard a little bit. This is just a preview of what's to come on, we're going to be doing this in September, and I believe it's September 11th.
No, I'm just kidding.
Where Shelly is going to be sharing her thought-provoking, relatable Creative Zen Talk, which is an event that we've been hosting now for 8+ years as a monthly breakfast lecture series, a mini TED Talk hosted for free to bring in local people to share their thought-provoking, relatable, inspiring story, because this is where I received my aha moment that changed the course of my life, my world, my community. So I pay, and now doing the work we're doing with Zero Empty Spaces, opening, vacant spaces to make art studios throughout the country. And so I pay it back and pay it forward and continue to host, because you never know who's going to be sitting there in the audience yearning for some inspiration, if they know it or not. And because you're so intentional, and because you're so well-read, studied, educated, we put some thought into the talk. So a central theme of your upcoming Creative Zen Talk on September the 11th is what you call self-loss. What does self-loss look like, and how do people unknowingly build their identities and lives around conditioning that may not reflect who they truly are?
So it goes back to how you grew up, what your belief systems are, what your values are, what you lived in within your home, your parents, your upbringing, how you were parented. And then essentially with all of that, the desire that you want within that experience, right? And how it actually blends and meshes together. And oftentimes, and this isn't always true, this is what's super, it fascinates me, because the human behavior, you could put somebody in a specific environment, and you could take siblings, for instance. Every sibling has a different perspective of what happened within the home, right? Somebody can experience severe trauma and loss and catalyze that and create tremendous impact. Or somebody can go through that experience and actually be the facilitator of all the things that they experience that they didn't necessarily want to experience. And this is where I eat up the mind and how does this all take place? What are the mindsets, whatever, right? It's another topic. But self-loss is essentially seeing and feeling the deeper part of your being as a constant throughout your life, but in some way editing or auditing who you are and what you feel and what you want to accommodate. And it may not necessarily look on like a bigger scale, like you're losing yourself. And most people who have already lost themselves don't think that they have, because they built up the identity or the ego or the I, that so much so that that's like, I don't have self-loss. Like, what do you mean, right?
Everybody does.
Everybody does. Everybody does. Everybody does, myself included, with certain things, right? Like but the thing is that you can move through it with a different level of awareness. So to give you an example, I now am not a people pleaser. I used to say yes a lot. And now I inquire with myself, like, do I really want to engage in this thing? Do I really want to be a part of this thing? Whereas before, I was like, any yoga thing, yes, 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 yes. Or any opportunity to like share whatever, yes, yes, yes. Now I'm very intentional, because I realize that not everything is in alignment for me. And at a deeper level, I know that. But then oftentimes it'd be like, oh, but this is a really great opportunity. Or, oh, the money's really good. Or whatever it might look like, right? So self-loss is a chipping away of your truth. A chipping away of your essence of being and the truth within you that wants, like, you want to lead with that, but you choose not to lead with that because you have the limiting beliefs, the limited thought processes, you have the what ifs, the whys, the fears that settle in, or the people-pleasing tendencies that you ended up adopting. But because you've lived with all of that for so long, you don't feel like there's another way. And then you continue to engage with these practices. And then, like I said earlier, you wake up and you're just like, this doesn't feel right. This relationship doesn't feel right. This job doesn't feel right. I'm so confused. I don't, like, this is not what I want. And you reach that point because your higher self, or spirit, God, universe, is like, hi, I'm over here. Just start listening to me. Just start feeling into your body. Ask and you shall receive. This is biblical in so many ancient texts. Say it out loud, spelling, your words, your voice, your vibration. Put it out into the universe, right? Show me a way. I need $10,000. Show me a way. And be honest about it. Like, I curse at God sometimes when I'm in, like, driving. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, da-da-da-da. And I get angry and I have these conversations, right? And I realize at the end of the day, you are God. And God in the sense, like, I know some people are going to be like, oh, what she said. Like, no, you are God in the sense that you have the choice. But are you exercising your true choice? Or are you exercising an obligation? Are you exercising I have to's? Are you exercising something in some way, shape, or form that you're, oh, I really don't want to go to that? Like, what are you exercising? When you become aware of what you're exercising, you will become aware as to how you ended up where you are. But the beauty of the matter is that you can always change where you are because you can start exercising your truth.
And there's no right or wrong point when these realizations come into your life.
No.
So even if you're 40 or if you're 20, or hopefully if your kids can start doing those a little bit younger and start learning or unlearning to make the, and God bless you, because so many people, you know, oh, these are my friends. And you have great friends. Right. But like, oh, they've always been my friends. Right. And I used to be friends with some people that you know that, right, like, they're not bad people because we would go to the brews room and watch the sports game and drink beer and, you know, do lower vibrational things. You know, that was just the course and the pattern in which life took them. Fortunately, life took me in a different course and pattern. Those people, we didn't have a falling out. They're just no longer in my life.
And oftentimes it starts with a feeling, right? It's like you sit there and you're like, there's got to be more to life than this. And some people don't even know where to start. They're like, oh, like I've just been doing this my entire life. Like this is just what we do. Like this is just how we have fun. Again, the identity that people aren't even aware of is an identity. And the invitation is to try different things, to experience life, right? To be curious. Because as children, they're so full of life and they're so full of joy, but the one thing that they have that we don't is curiosity. Like they're not curious about what they want. They're not curious about that bug. Like, you know, like, I'm sorry, we're not curious about that bug. We're not curious about like whatever. So when kids are curious, there's a level of joy, and with that curiosity, they create and refine what they like. Right? Like my son, threw him in surf camp. He's interested in it, but now went through it, experienced it, and fell in love with it. Right? My older son, working out and going to the gym, he is dedicated every single day without fail. He's been consistent for the past 2 years. He's 14 years old. Consistent for the past 2 years. He didn't know that he liked that until he tried it.
Right.
So what can you bring into your life that makes you a newbie about something? Because your ego is like, no, that's not what I do. I'm not flexible. I can't do yoga. Like, this is weird. But like, then find the stuff that you're curious about. Then
Right.
find the stuff you're curious about and explore life differently, because you'll meet a feeling. And whether it's with different people or whether it's within different spaces, you'll get a feeling that like, this ain't it.
There's more.
This ain't it. And when you get that feeling, this ain't it, just easiest thing I tell my clients is go back to when you were a child. If you really don't know where to start, what did you love as a child? Did you love playing kickball? Just sign up for an adult kickball team. Did you like to paint? Just get some watercolor paint and just start painting. Yeah, like I love to color. I still to this day love to color, and I still color with my kids. But during my, fork in the road, I was told that same thing. Do what you used to love as a child. And I would get a full-length mirror and I would put on some tunes and I would dance. And that was joyful for me. Rollerblading was another thing that I absolutely loved as a child. I bought a pair of rollerblades and I started doing it. And that is all it sometimes takes to shift your frequency.
Literally. And I say, and the best things in life happen outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
So these societal norms, conditioning,
because you interrupt your narrative,
which you're enabled and entitled and allowed to do as an adult, even as a child. But generally it takes you getting to a certain point in life when hopefully you have these realizations. So this is why I'm so grateful to not just have you share your story and your journey, which is powerful within itself, right? You're going on this career path. You invested a lot of time and money, and which and energy and energy, and the education still serves you in various different capacities. But fortunately, we have free will, and you fortunately throughout your journey that you outlined were able to make a series of choices that led you on a much higher, more rewarding and fulfilling path that we're going to share in September. So versus what we traditionally do, which it's still a Creative Zen talk. So you're still going to share a little bit about your story. This led to that, that led to this. But as we discussed, it is going to be a little bit more in the traditional presentation. So attendees will be invited to explore their own sun and moon placements, begin interpreting their natal charts, and receive a tarot card as a personal message from the universe. Without giving too much away, what can attendees expect from this experience, and what do you hope they will discover or take home with them?
Curiosity, right? Just being curious about the possibility of something that they never thought could speak to a deeper level of who they are, just allowing that to happen. And when I do my readings, it's a living transmission. So instead of it being something you are logically attempting to explain, can you just be in the feeling of what it brings up within you, right? So the biggest takeaway that I hope people leave with is feeling different about astrology than what mainstream pumps out in the form of like horoscopes and stuff, because it's so blanketed. It's such not all of it's trash, but a lot of it is trash. Because there's so much more to your sun sign. There's so much more to your moon sign, where it is, what house it's in, what sign it's in, what other signs and placements are bunking up with your moon sign that make you unique. But unfortunately, because it is so precise and unique when we begin to dive into it, the blanketed idea is something that gets pumped out because it's generalized, right? We're gonna be kind of like zooming right into you in this talk that is going to mirror back to you things that either feel extremely valid and true or wake something up within you.
And if they would like to, before, after, during, connect with you to potentially go maybe a little bit deeper on a one-on-one level, where can they find you on social media and the interwebs?
So social media, I am Shelly the Mystic. My current website, Shelly the Mystic, is under construction, but it will hopefully be up by September 11th.
It will.
And yes, and yeah, I have a podcast, the Woo Woo Woman podcast. I do a lot for free on socials and on my podcast. I give a lot of information for free on that because it's not information that needs to be like hidden or like, ooh, this is mine. Like I don't want to share it. Like I want to share. I want people to know this, right? But when it does take my time to read your chart, of course, like there's options for that.
Right, just like you go to therapist, get to know you, blah blah blah. I'm part of the Instagram group.
Yes, the broadcast.
Yes.
The Woo Woo Weekly.
So if any of this resonated with you, encourage you to reach out to her.
Yes.
Follow,
connect, DM, all the things. I will not DM you. If you DM me first, then we can chat. I love chatting with people on Instagram. It's like I said, it's like a digital bonfire where you just connect with people across the world in different states and different countries, and it's just incredible how close it can really bring you. And
when used properly with intention.
It's just like any tool. The Bible was used to kill millions of people in a fucking cult.
Facts.
Right? Like, it's a tool.
Do you know how many white elephants they sacrificed at the Vatican?
Oh my God. Like, it's just a tool. And any tool can be used for good or not good. Same with AI. AI can be used for good or not good. Like, I am not the let's get out of the matrix person that's on the spiritual path. I'm like, no. How do we live in this world? Like, we came to have a human experience. Like, yes, you have a spirit, but like when you're too far out in spirituality, you're not here. Like, do you think as a spirit you could fart, you could shit, you could eat pizza, you could have a drink, you could go have fun? No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You're here to be and have a human experience and know that you are a spirit and nurture both your spirituality and your physicality.
For a very short period of time.
Yeah,
and
it's a blip.
And death is imminent, and you might as well enjoy it while we're here today. So highly encourage you to like, follow, subscribe, all the things. If you want to learn more about what we're doing here, changing lives and communities through Zero Empty Spaces, you follow us at zeroemptyspaces.com. You can find this nice merch and the sweatshirts and all the things, and even the water bottle.
Such a cool space, by the way, if you haven't made it over.
The largest artist studio complex in Broward County and in Dania Beach, which will be participating in the Dania Beach Art Week inaugural edition coming up at the end of September to the beginning of October. Even if we're not directly in the CRA district, we'll have a bunch of events, talks, workshops, opening reception. This location's due for a grand opening, ribbon cutting, whole thing, so we'll probably do that then. We host a Creative Zen Talks here every second Friday morning of the month. Doors open at 8:30. Talk starts at 9. You're out of here by 10. If you really want to come, but you need some truthful things to tell your boss, I have a list. You're gaining insight and inspiration you can take back to your team. You're making new connections. you're maybe going to miss the first half of the morning of one day of work that literally, from experience, can change your life. And it's not just changed my life, it's changed other people's lives as well. Two former speakers, Tim Davis, New City Players, phenomenal performance artist, actor, and theater director, met Stella Amador, Wild Bloom Poetry. They're collaborating now, just from attending. So if you want to find out more, look up Creative Zen Talks. We'll post yours. We're going to wait to post this till after our August event because we have some travel coming up. But yeah, so appreciate you tuning in. Last question we like to wrap up here with the podcast is the easiest one.
Oh.
You grew up in Coral Springs and have continued building your life, relationships, and work here in Broward County. Of all the places you could live, create, and serve, why do you choose the 954?
Oh dear. So this is not like a cool fun fact. I got pregnant.
With somebody else from Coral Springs.
With somebody else from Coral Springs. But the plan was not to be here. The plan was to go elsewhere.
That's okay.
And the anchor is here. And yeah, I got pregnant and I was stationed here and I learned to love it. And kind of back to what I mentioned before is like sometimes the thing that you want to move away from is oftentimes where you need to make the peace. And I think I was attempting to do that and wanting to leave, and it was like, no, you're meant to be here, you're meant to do things here. And having my son at a very young age, facilitated that.
Everything happens for a reason, the good
Sure
and the
does.
bad.
Sure does. And I love South Florida. I don't think I could ever leave now. Like, in retrospect, like looking in the big picture, I couldn't see myself living anywhere else.
I'm going to Berkeley, California next week to open one of these, and it's cold in the summer. Like, we got it pretty good here in the 954.
It's good.
And it's come a long way, and even Coral Springs, I took yin yoga on Wiles Road, right down the street from where we grew up, at Yoga Source.
Times.
And 2 credits on ClassPass. Where do you find a 2 credit hour? And that means it's like $4. God bless them. And I also love the mom and pop yoga studios in Broward.
Yes.
People see yoga in Miami, and there's nothing wrong with the places that have 100 people going to a class.
They're introducing them to yoga. Thank you.
Facts. Serves its purpose.
Yes.
But in closing, small businesses, which you are, and we are the backbone of the economy, of the community. And if nobody reminded you lately, Starbucks will survive without I used to say it was $5, now it's like, your $8 coffee or whatever it is. Like,
designer coffee.
Your $5 will go so much further at the local coffee shop, at the local, yoga studio, boutique, whatever it may be. And also, living artists, clearly, as an arts advocate, can actually benefit from your money if you buy art from them versus the dead ones. That's another story for another day. But, hopefully this podcast provided a spark of insight, of inspiration, of like, wow, that's an interesting itch to scratch. That's something different I haven't heard of. I haven't thought about it like that before. Oh, wow, I have kids. I'm preparing to have kids. Like, I want my society, my culture, my community, my life, my family, my work, my whatever to maybe be a little bit different. And you, if you weren't sure, we're giving you the permission to do that. And interestingly, last thing I'll just say, some of the artists that I've interviewed here on our Zero Empty Spaces podcast, they got to art later in life as they're older in their career. Mm-hmm. And one of them, who's an attorney that's like retiring, she's like, the greatest gift I gave myself was the permission to pursue my art. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and you kind of said it in so many words, like, don't wait for anybody to give you the permission. Mm-hmm. You just go do that. She has so much more. Listen to her podcast. I think we'll probably do another episode when we end up doing another really cool collaborative event, and maybe something with Red Pro Yoga Studio, and our friend Chloe Ravel, the Gemini Rising. So thank you for tuning in at Choose954. Hope to see you at Creative's End. Free event, by the way. We do all this because it's the right thing to do. Nice Jewish boy from Coral Springs. Nice Cuban French woman.
Honestly, this is such a cool. I was having a moment. I'm like, this is such a cool, like, from like high school to like this. Like you would never think that the connections that we had, and we weren't like close friends. We knew each other, right? We were in similar circles and engagements.
You came over to my house.
Yes.
You just reminded me. Yeah.
Yes. For nothing kinky or anything.
No, with
guys.
your ex boyfriend.
Yes, but it's so cool to see how it can kind of come full circle, and you know, we can connect in this space. It's rich. It's rich.
It is really cool.
So
it is
thank
really
you for
cool. Yeah.
me.
Stay tuned. Listen to the signs. You never know where they'll lead you to.
Yep.
Shout out to Walter Dix.